Knowing the right message. How do we find the right message to connect with people? What do we say? And how do we do that in an electronic format? We're going to talk a little bit about email. How to effectively use email as a prospecting tool. Now, when we think of email, there's really two parts of email. There's email marketing, which is email sending out newsletters. So email marketing is really one-to-many. It's sending out your email newsletter or sending a video out to all of your contact lists. Newsletters, mass emails, and I call it fake personalization. It's not real personalization in the sense that you do put maybe in the first, in the opening, you might say, Dear Joe, Dear Sally, Dear Susie, but you didn't handwrite that in. That was done automatically, a little bit of fake personalization. Now, email and sales is completely different. Email and sales is one-to-one. It's really knowing something about the other person, and you're providing value, and it's personal, and most important, it's relevant based on what they care about. And what we try to do in email and sales is elicit a commitment objective. What's a commitment objective? In any communication that we do, we should have a goal. Now, what's our goal when we send out an email? What's our commitment objective? We got a name, we got a prospect, we're going to send them an email. What's our commitment objective? What do you think that is? Yell it out to me. Don't all yell at once, okay? To get a response. Now, a lot of people in sales will say, my commitment objective is to close the deal. I want to win the client. I want to get a piece of new business, and that's not correct. Now, show of hands. Any of you send out an email offering life insurance services, financial advisory services, and the person responds and says, where do I send my check? Has that ever happened to anybody before? I suppose it's possible, not very often. Our goal in email and sales is not to close the deal. Our goal in email and sales is to build a relationship. What's going on in the other person's world that they care about? How do we get them? Our commitment objective is really to get them to agree to maybe the next email, maybe a LinkedIn connection, maybe a phone call, maybe a morning coffee. And it's important to remember that, because too often we write these emails like we're actually going to close the deal in an email. We're never going to close the deal in an email. Our commitment objective is to send the email to get permission to do the next meeting. So does email even work anymore? Let me give you some best practices. Now, these are from a number of different studies analyzing hundreds of millions of different emails. Now, not specific to the financial advisory business, but these are statistics that are general in nature, but I think they certainly are applicable in the financial advisory business. So what's the average cold email response rate? Cold email is defined as, I don't know this person. We've never met before. We don't have a relationship. I got their email from somebody. Maybe it was a referral. I don't know the person. The average cold email response rate is 2%. 2%. That means you send out 100 emails, only 2 are going to respond saying, yes, I'd love to have coffee. Well, it would be wonderful to meet. I'd be happy, I'd be open to connecting with you on LinkedIn. Not a very high percentage rate. So what can we do to maybe improve that to 3%, 4%, maybe even 5%? Let me give you some best practices related to subject lines. Now, I have to tell you, I violate these all the time. It is so hard. Mark Twain once said, I can write you a great letter if you give me more time. Meaning that it's easy to write a long email. It's easy to write a long subject line. It's difficult to edit. Your email subject line should be at maximum 3 to 7 words. Think about it. What percentage of emails do you think that you open up on your mobile device versus a computer? 70%, 60%, probably a high percentage. So I like to say write your emails for the mobile device. Make sure that the entire subject line will fit in that subject line on your mobile device, 3 to 7 words. Make it interesting, something, an industry stat, a new regulation, an article they don't know about. So for example, great article about. That's a wonderful subject line. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 words. Great article about retirement planning. Great article about new product offering. Great article about a new opportunity. Whatever it might be. But make it valuable to the other person. Make it a white paper, a research report. Maybe you found something that they can download that you think that would be very valuable to them. Here's a recent report you'd like. Recent report on the insurance industry. Recent report on best ways to save. Recent report on how to invest well during a recessionary environment, during high inflation, whatever it might be. Something interesting to them. And then create urgency. Just released. By far, the number one responded email to is something along the lines of, with a subject line that says, new blank regulations just released. Healthcare regulations, insurance regulations, financial services, something. Now, it's even better if it's in their world. If you're reaching out to a teacher, new teacher regulations or new retirement plans for teacher regulations just released. Find something that's relevant to the other person. Now, because I'm a dorky computer guy, I have to give you some cool websites. So here's a neat website. It's called emailsubjectgrader.com. Now, you're not going to use this every time you send out an email. That would be a little bit ridiculous. But you can go in there and you can put in a subject line. So for example, if one of your prospects, one of your existing clients is in the construction industry, you find a construction report that they might be interested in, that they might not have seen. Remember, have a mindset. We're always providing value to them. It doesn't always have to be about financial services. Paste it in, go to emailsubjectgrader.com, paste in your subject line, and it will give you a grade. And even though that particular subject line scored out to be 100, they still gave me some good ideas on how I might be able to improve that subject line. So emailsubjectgrader.com. Best practices as it relates to body copy. Always personalize. It should always be, hi Adam, hi Joe. Now a lot of people, you should know this, are doing things when they're signing up for newsletters, when they're signing up for, they're not putting their real name in. Or maybe they'll put a period before their name. And that tells them who's spamming them. And so that's why it's important that when you do an email for sales, that it's hand done. It's not automated, it's hand done, and you're going to put the person's name in there. It needs to always be about them. One call to action. I fail on this one all the time. I have to tell, when someone reaches out to me, Sam, we'd love to book you for our conference. Can you tell me a little bit about you? Oh my goodness, I get so excited. Now my subject line's pretty good. It's usually something like information about Sam Richter. And then I say, here's a link you can go to for my testimonials. Here's a link to my videos. Here's a link to my client list. I have to stop and rewrite my email because there's too many links in there. In fact, if you have too many links, that's one of the triggers that might send an email to the junk mail, to the spam folder. So as hard as you can, because this is so hard for me, one email, one link. Drill that into your head. One email, one link. Keep it easy. And then short paragraphs with white space. Now this one I find so important. One of the things that I do before I send out an important email is I will send it to my mobile device. I'll send it to myself and then open the email on my mobile device. And oftentimes what looks really good on my computer, nice short paragraphs, I look on my mobile device, it hurts my eyes. There's so much information there. In fact, what I might recommend is on some emails, when you send it to yourself, look at it in your mobile device, hit twice on the carriage return between two paragraphs. So hit 2 returns between paragraphs. It might look a little bit silly on your computer, but on your mobile device, it's so much more easing on the eye. It doesn't look like there's all this text that I have to read. How many of you have ever gotten an email on your mobile device? You open it up and you say, this looks like it's important, but it just looks way too much to read. I'll get to it later. Have you ever had that experience? How many of you ever get to it later? I do when I'm traveling to Sydney. I went through about 1,500 emails that I haven't answered over the past year on the airplane over here because I had 15 hours to do it. That's when we get to it later. So nice white space, short paragraphs, double carriage return between paragraphs. Key takeaway, send it to yourself. Open it up on your mobile device. Make sure it's pleasant to the eye. Make sure that we can read the full subject line and the PS. The postscript gets read. In an analysis of emails, by far the most important thing you can do in an email, oftentimes I will put my commitment objective in the PS. That gets read. People will scroll right down, they'll read the PS. The PS might be, click here to access my calendar, I'd love to take you for coffee. That could be a PS. Click here to visit my website. But maybe even put your call to action right into the PS. Of course, I've got to give you another website, mail-tester.com. So what you can do here is you actually copy, so you would go through and you would grab that, you would grab this right here, you would grab that long, ugly, that's actually an email address. You'd grab the email address, you'd copy that, you'd go into your email and you'd send it to that email address. Wait about 3 seconds, come back to the website, click the Then Check Your Score button, and it will tell you how that email ranked out. Is this going to show up in the spam folder, the promotions folder, or someone's inbox? Of course, I can click any one of those pull-down menus, and it will tell me what are some suggestions. They'll give me some suggestions on what I can do to improve my email. So, mail-tester.com. Now, what are the best days to send emails as it relates to click-through rates? By the way, open rates are meaningless. So if you do email newsletters, the open rates that they're giving you now are basically guesses. They're pretty accurate, but they're still guesses in the sense, because what's happened is Apple in particular, but other service providers are doing the same thing. In their a way to protect privacy, see what happens in an email, when you send an email, if you want to track open rates, there's a little bitty picture, a little pixel image that's embedded into the email. That's how an email service provider knows that if the email was opened or not. So for privacy, Apple is automatically opening all emails. So even if you actually never open the email, it's tracked as an open. So open rates are almost meaningless. Click-through rates, however, that's actually based on someone clicking on a link and a call to action. So what are the best days for click-through rates? I don't know why, but typically Tuesdays are the best days to send sales emails. And this is, again, off of hundreds of millions of emails. What are the best ones to get a response? Typically a Tuesday. We'll get a slightly better response. What are the best times to send? Fairly logical. 10 a.m. is the best time to send an email. Why? Typically people are past their morning meetings, they get back to the office, they look at their email. And then between 3 and 4, before they're probably done with their afternoon meetings, they're starting to wrap up the end of the day. So 10 a.m. best time, and between 3 and 4 are the best times in terms of click-through rates for emails. Was that helpful to you? Great, we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. All right, LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. Email versus LinkedIn. So we just discussed, typically a response rate is about 2% for email. Now if we do it really well, we might be able to get it to a 3 to 4 to 5%. What percentage of people respond to and this is the key part, a relevant LinkedIn connection? Anywhere between 40 and 70%. So do you want to spend your time sending 100 emails and maybe get 2 to 5 responses? Or send 100 LinkedIn connections and get 40 to 70 responses? Now how do you do that? Because unfortunately, LinkedIn, I used to say, this slide used to have about 70 to 80%. But unfortunately, spammers and I don't know about you, but I get a bunch of junky LinkedIn connection requests on a daily basis. And those just go right in the delete folder. But the relevant ones, if it's relevant and if it's interesting, those are the ones that get accepted. So 50% respond to a relevant LinkedIn connection. By the way, how many people in Australia have LinkedIn profiles? Take a guess. It's close to 17 million. So 50, they're not exactly sure, but about 16 to 17 million people in Australia have LinkedIn. Out of 25 million, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So your clients are on LinkedIn. Maybe your 90-year-old retired teacher is not on LinkedIn. But pretty much everybody else you probably want to reach out to has a LinkedIn profile. Now, are they active on LinkedIn? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because even if they're not active on LinkedIn, when you do a LinkedIn request, they'll get an email from you. And then they can act on that. So LinkedIn will send an email. So what are the 11 most boring words in the English language? I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. How boring is that, right? Delete, go away, never heard of you. Don't do these types of things in your LinkedIn connection request. So this is not a message once you're connected. This is your connection request. Don't do this. Hey, I saw that you were looking at my profile, so you obviously must be interested in me. Let's connect. I get these. Don't send things like that. Let's connect, and here's a link to my calendar so we can set up a time to chat via Zoom. Same thing with email. We want to build a relationship. It's all about what's in it for them. Remember, they don't want to meet with you. They don't even know who you are. So don't start out with a let's meet. At Acme Financial, we specialize in helping people meet their financial dreams, and I know we can help you. You don't even know who I am. Stop sending things like that. It's so obvious that it's a copy and paste. It's not relevant. It's not personal. We're a family-run firm serving our community and people like you for more than 58 years. Who cares? Like when you want to go get the oil changed in your car, does it matter to you that the person who changes the oil, it's a family-run business, they've been around for 58 years? No! Nobody cares that your family-run business been around for 58 years. Don't put it in there. That's all about you. And then, of course, it would be great to connect. By the way, I love your profile photo. Hashtag beautiful. That's a little weird, but I've gotten ones like that too. Don't do that. What can you do on LinkedIn requests? Remember, if you want a 50% acceptance rate, maybe even higher, make it personal. All about them. Hey, I saw that comment you made on so-and-so's blog post. I saw that comment you made on that LinkedIn connection. I saw the article or the post that you made. I found that very interesting. Make it relevant. Relevant to what they care about. If they're a teacher, talk about, hey, I've been working with teachers. I've been working with professors, whatever it might be. Make it relevant and make it valuable. It's all about them. It's not about you. So for example, using the techniques I shared with you and using some of the techniques I'll show with you in a minute, a relevant personal LinkedIn connection. This is not a copy-paste. Hey, I see that you're on the board of directors for the Children's Cancer Fund. I've supported this organization for years. Make sure you're telling the truth, obviously, as they do great work. Let's connect, as it would be wonderful to share ideas and information. They're going to click to see who you are. They're going to click to see that you're a financial advisor. But it's something in connection. Hey, Don, I love Chihuahuas as well. I saw that okay, that would be a little bit weird because that means I was spying on him on Facebook, but put something in there that's relevant that maybe you can find on their LinkedIn profile. Find something on their LinkedIn profile that's relevant to you, where you have a shared connection, and then put that in your request. Best time to connect on LinkedIn is noon. Makes sense? People are done with their morning. They go on, they log into LinkedIn. Over lunchtime, they look at who their LinkedIn connection requests are. And then after work, 5 to 6. Typically when people are wrapping up the day, they'll look at their social media profiles.